Let's get started with Overreaction Monday. So I'm going to give Ben some statements, and he's going to say if he thinks it's an overreaction or not. So let's get started with a big one, okay? Spencer Strider's injury ruins the Braves' division title hopes.
Alec, I think that's an overreaction. I think the Braves are one of, if not the best team in baseball, and I say it that way because I don't want to spoil the power rankings we got coming up. But this team is really good. Now, I did have Spencer Strider winning the NL Cy Young Award this year, so this is a huge blow. And Alex, how many times have we sat here again and again saying UCL injury? We don't know if it's Tommy John, but there is damage to the UCL. As we hear, the Braves tweeted this out. There is damage. An MRI revealed that there's damage to the UCL in his right elbow. He'll be further evaluated. So it's not a good sign. Am I saying Spencer Strider's not going to pitch again this year? No, absolutely not. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but I know it's not a good sign that his right UCL has damage to it. So if we're going to think about this, he's going to miss it. In my opinion, he's going to miss some time. Is it all year? I don't know. Is it a month? I don't know that. But either way, I thought the Braves had the best rotation in the game of baseball. Without Spencer Strider, that's obviously not true, but I still believe they have a good rotation. Max Fried is capable of being an ace. I love the addition of Chris Sale. Charlie Morton's nasty. So do I think Spencer Strider being out derails their hopes of winning the NL East? I don't. But I do worry long-term about this. One, about Spencer Strider, and two, about the Braves' ability to win in the playoffs if they don't have Spencer Strider. So I'm going to say that this is an overreaction, that they can't win the division without him. But man, this is it's just a tough blow for the Braves, obviously, and for the game of baseball. You know, I had Spencer Strider striking out 300 guys this year. And damage to the UCL is just a tough blow. I still think they're really good. I still think they can and will. I have them winning the division. This doesn't change my opinion. But what this does do for me is changes. If I were to have the Braves winning the World Series, which I didn't, you know, Alex, I have the Phillies over the Orioles in the World Series. But if I did have the Braves winning, this would change my opinion on if they can win in October or not. They need him in October to win.
It's just so heartbreaking and such a stomachache. Anytime you hear UCL damage, regardless of what it is, obviously right now he's getting further evaluated and they're calling it a UCL sprain. But we're having a lot of big names get Tommy John recently. I mean, Shane Bieber out for the season, Uri Perez, DeGrom recovering, Garrett Cole had a scare. I mean, Shohei had the non-Tommy John
Urquidy
surgery
with the Astros.
It's like, what do you think is the cause right now of all of these UCL injuries? Because we're seeing way more than we used to.
I'll tell you exactly what the cause is, and I'm sick and tired of hearing it's the pitch clock. It's the lack of sticky substances on the baseball. It's not that. To me, it is so clear what is happening of why guys are more and more getting Tommy John surgery. And it's the fact that every time, especially these younger pitchers are stepping on the mound, they're trying to throw the shit out of the ball and throw 110 miles an hour every time they step on the mound. And every time they throw a curveball or a slider, they're trying to spin it to as much as they possibly can. And that has changed. We talked to John Smoltz. I talked to Smoltz on Saturday with Smoltz, I think it was last year. And he said, it's just the game has changed. Guys used to not want to throw 100 miles an hour every pitch. And think of Justin, my brother, when he came up, and still he had 102 in his back pocket, but he wasn't trying to do that every pitch. He would come up, he would sit 92 to 93. And by the ninth inning or seventh, eighth, ninth, he would ramp it up a little bit. But if he didn't need it early in the game, he wasn't trying to throw his absolute hardest. So for me, it's the fact that these guys are just coming up in the age of Driveline. And I'm not trying to put Driveline on blast here, but I need to throw as hard as I possibly can. I'm not going to get a scholarship unless I'm throwing mid 90s. I'm not going to get drafted unless I'm throwing upper 90s. And that's what we're seeing now. And, you know, this stat right here, if you're watching, you can see it. In 2008, only 1 in 7 pitchers got Tommy John. And under 10% of pitchers in the league were averaging 95 miles an hour or more on their fastball. Fast forward to 2018, about 20% of pitchers are averaging over 95 miles an hour or more, and 1 in 3 pitchers are getting Tommy John. The answer is right in front of us. Guys are just trying to throw their absolute hardest every pitch, and your arm's just not built to do that. It is so clear to me, and it's so frustrating because the game needs guys like Garrett Cole and Spencer Strider. But Spencer Strider, since the day he's come up, has tried to throw every pitch 100 miles an hour, and it's just not, it doesn't work for your elbow. It just doesn't.
So it's the race to the highest velo. How are you going to tell a guy though, like, stop throwing as hard as you can? Like, that's not going to happen. So like, how do you fix this? How do you help this?
You look at them, you point at them and say, you ever heard of Justin Verlander? He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest of all time. Let's watch some tape when he came up and pitched. This guy would sit 92 to 93 early on in a game. And until he got in trouble, that's when he would reach back. Spencer Strider, you are one of the best pitchers in the world. You don't need to throw 100 every pitch.
You
can pitch at 92 or 94 with your slider and your new curveball, and it works. And guess what? If a guy gets on second or third base and you need to ramp it up a little bit, you know you have 100 in your back pocket, but you don't need 100 every single pitch. Spot up your fastball. 94 miles an hour on the black is a tough ass pitch to hit. It just is. So the fact that he knows he has 100 is a different thing to me, but he feels like he needs to throw 100 every single pitch. And that's the difference. So what do? You look at them and say, hey, right now, every pitcher in the world is getting Tommy John and missing a year plus of baseball. Look at that guy. Look at Justin Verlander. He's one of the greatest of all time. Look at John Smoltz. Look at all these names that came up and didn't try and throw or spin the ball as hard as they could every pitch.
I mean, I get it, but that's going to be a tough sell. That would be a tough sell to these pitchers that are just throwing for their lives.
Thanks for watching. If you love flipping bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.